The Hornets keep on losing. They're almost there, shoring up a spot, a 14% chance at drafting Cooper Flagg. They got a little more work to do, but it feels like they're going to get it done after losing to the Raptors last night. Nick Smith Jr. had a good game. We have another mock draft. All of that for you today on Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your podcast, and that does include YouTube. There's Doug Branson. You can find him on his Substack, as always, everyhornetsboxscore.com. David Walker, also over there. He can't do but only so much Hornets content these days. They've killed him, but he is still, I guess, physically alive. He's writing over there on that website also. Go check out his work. David Walker, the OG Walker.
I'll tell you where David is. So he had last night's game notes assignment, and he had the final game. But I didn't want to do it on Friday. I've got some plans on Friday. And so I said, hey, I will trade. If you do my Friday game notes, I'll do the last game of the season, and I'll do last night's game against Toronto. And he just simply texted back, you, sir, have a deal. Because that's 2 games for 1, and this time of Hornets basketball, you absolutely have a deal. But look, it's been an honor to do it this season, and I know David has enjoyed it as well. It's been, look, obviously these have been difficult seasons, but both of us love the Charlotte Hornets, and it is fun to write about them relative to, I don't know, writing about anything else.
You guys have kind of killed David a little bit. You should be ashamed, Hornets. You should be ashamed. But we still love David. He's writing over there for everyhornetsboxscore.com.
I warned him.
And Doug is hosting also for Locked On NBA. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. We also have a newsletter. Forgot to tell you, we have a Locked On Hornets daily newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. You can sign up for free right now, lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Hornets newsletter. The Hornets, they lost big. They lost to the Toronto Raptors last night, 126-96. Doug, you know how the Hornets are tanking for this Cooper Flagg fellow at number 1
really?
Overall? Yeah, that's what
I
they've
haven't
been doing.
noticed.
No, they've been losing a lot of games. I've been reading about it on everyhornetsboxscore.com. They've been losing a lot. And you know how when they played the Jazz, we said you can't out-tank the Jazz, just can't do it? Well,
they almost did.
I know they almost did, but the Jazz somehow found a way. You can out-tank the Raptors. In fact, what's hilarious about what the Raptors have been doing is, at first, it was pretty egregious tanking. In the NBA East Locked On show that you'll sometimes find in our YouTube channel feed, I remember it was a few weeks back where a couple of the Eastern Conference hosts, they all gathered together and they talked about the teams that are most shamelessly tanking, like who was pulling off the most egregious tank job. And the Raptors were among the teams. And Sean was like, look, man, they've got good players. They're trying. Toronto will take out their good players in the fourth quarter, but they're not as egregious as some of these other teams. And I'm here to defend Sean Woodley because here are the last 10 wins for Toronto, Doug. The Jazz, the Wizards, the 76ers, the Jazz, the Wizards, the Nets, the Hornets, the 76ers, the Nets, the Hornets. They are the best of the tanking teams. Everybody should aspire to have as much as much of a moral compass as what Toronto has in terms of the way that they're tanking. We'll tank, but we'll beat these egregious tankers. And it happened again last night in a big way with a 30-point win over the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, and you saw it in this game. R.J. Barrett and Scotty Barnes, they were doing the Miles Bridges thing where they were starting, but they were going through the motions a little bit. They weren't going like full R.J. Barrett. They weren't going full Scotty Barnes.
That's all you need.
And there was a little bit of a mirage early in this game that said, well, maybe the Hornets can hang around. But unfortunately, look, they did not have enough people that could make shots. They really didn't have enough people that could pass the ball. NSJ had 10 assists in this game. It was his best passing game of his career. First career double-double for him because he also added 28 points and 6 rebounds. Maybe just the best, I don't know if best game, but best stat line of his career for sure. Nick Smith Jr. and Yusuf Nurkic, that was the only offense this team had, was that them working a two-man game. Yusuf had 26, Nick Smith Jr. 28. That accounted for 56% of the 96 points scored for the Charlotte Hornets. So that should tell you all you need to know about the rest of the roster. No Mark, no Miles in this game. This is funny, they did start a 5 that in theory would be a 5-out lineup because Nurkic at center and then all of the wings, undersized as they are, have the ability to shoot threes, as inconsistent as they are, have the ability to shoot threes. And then, of course, first couple of possessions, it was Nurkic pounding it in the paint, going against Orlando Robinson, he had a size advantage, so it made sense on paper, but I'm like, it's sort of the conversation that we've been having around Mark. It's like the season is so pointless right now. Why not trot out Mark and run some pick and pop stuff for him and let him get 3 or 4 3-point attempts up a game? Yeah. It's kind of the same thing for me. I don't understand why you put a 5-out lineup there and then you're playing the scouting report or you're playing the matchups. It's like, run some stuff that's 5-out. Try to get some 3-point shots up. Instead, you're pounding it to Nurkic. That's not what we want to see right now.
Speaking pounding with Nurkic had 5 fouls in this game. This guy still clearly wants all of the smoke compared to everybody else who only had 2 fouls apiece. It's still Nurk just battling down low. 26 points for him. I mean, I know you went through the stat line a little bit, but still the 12 of 19, the 19 field goal attempts. I can look up his game log, but that has to be among the most field goal attempts that he's put up in a game. I'd be surprised if he put up more than 19 this season. Last season, I want to dig into that. And speaking of game logs here, shout out to Jared Rhoden, a former Hornet. As soon as this year, he actually dropped 4 points for us in a November 4th game against Minnesota, and then was acquired by Toronto after playing just 4 games here in Charlotte very early on. Jared Rhoden did not have a season high. He actually scored 25 against another tanking team right now in Philadelphia. That was on March 12th. But he did have 23 points, 8 of 12 shooting in 30 minutes last night against the Hornets, 3 of 5 shooting from 3. So Jared Rhoden, one of these two-way guys, end of the bench guys that have donned a Hornets uniform, that have been G Leaguers. Jared Rhoden actually doing some nice stuff in that category for the other team against the Hornets in this one. So thank you for helping us lose and get closer to Cooper.
And I'm pretty sure that was the biggest revenge game in the NBA last night.
Biggest one. They had a montage. Jared Rhoden was crying on the corner of the bench. He asked for a towel because he was crying with all of the nice highlights that the Hornets got together for him. It was beautiful. So let's look at the odds.
I'm just sad the Hornets were rode out. I wanted them to be rode in, but they were rode out.
They've been checked out. They've been rode out. That doesn't sound right. Let's move on quickly. We also have the updated odds for you via Tankathon in the Hornets' quest to get to a 14% shot. So, Doug, New Orleans is right behind them, but the 2.5 games back of Charlotte. So it's Washington and Utah. They're locked in. So Washington and Utah, right now, they are officially going to have a 14% chance at drafting Cooper Flagg. Charlotte is third as it currently stands. They're almost locked in, but they've got one more game to get to. They've got one more game to lose before they can officially say they have a 14% shot. New Orleans is 2.5 games back of Charlotte right now. The Hornets only have 2 games left. They have 2 games against the Celtics. The Pelicans have 3 games left. So what would have to happen for some funny business is the Hornets win out. They win both of their games against Boston. And the Pelicans would have to lose out all 3 of their games that they have left on the schedule. And then you would get to the tiebreaker scenario. But we'll save you the trouble of all of that and just say, I really doubt that the Hornets are going to win one of these games against the Celtics, let alone win both of these games to help the Pelicans get back with a chance to go after Cooper Flagg with some of the best odds out there.
I mean, it would be very Hornets to scare the living bleep out of us in the first game against Boston. It's all going to come down to who Boston plays and who Boston doesn't play because they are clinched up in the East. So it's an opportunity for them to get some rest, some extra rest before the playoffs. I don't expect to see any of Tatum, Brown. But the thing about the Celtics is they run so deep that even if they play a bench plus unit, that's more than likely going to be enough. I mean, this Toronto game was a vast majority of it was Toronto bench plus, and they were just running the Hornets off the floor in the second half. So, would I be like shocked if the Hornets took one of these games and scared the bleep out of us? No, but I think the Hornets, I think they've got this one in the bag.
Look, I'm with you. I wouldn't be shocked either. I didn't think that the Celtics could get to a lower spot on their bench to where I would feel comfortable, but the Celtics just lost by 20 points to the Magic last night. And here was their rotation. Baylor Shearman was their leading scorer with 15 points. Torrey Craig, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, Peyton Pritchard. Okay.
Well, Cornett could win the game on his own. He's Cornett, the Hornet killer. He could win the game if he just went 1 on 11.
And Peyton Pritchard, Sixth Man of the Year candidate. So, okay, already helps you out. They also have Xavier Tillman, Miles Norris, Drew Peterson, Neemias Queta. I forget how you pronounce his first name. J.D. Davison, Jordan.
Yeah, I think it's Neemias.
Neemias. Yeah, I think it was something with an ISH, something like that. Ish Smith. Sorry, Neemias Queta, and then there's also Jordan Walsh there. So yeah, they're going deep into the bag. I still think it's good enough, but this is the thing where, Doug, we usually embrace the good feelings after a win, even in a tanking season. We understand what it can do for a little bit of the culture. We can understand what it does to not just allow losing to happen all the time, because that's how you get into trouble. Gotta lose one of these games.
We're way beyond.
Gotta lose one of those
beyond
games.
that period of analysis. Now we're at the point where I will start a GoFundMe for Mark and Miles and their tickets to Cancun. We will get these boys to Cancun right now. Don't worry about it. Your job is done here. Salute. Thank you for all your contributions this season. Mad respect. See you later.
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me. Look, I'll rent you my house. Okay, you can. It's just whatever.
I'll give you my house.
Wherever you for the chance at Cooper. Watch us end up falling to 7, and instead we have.
No, I'm going to sim the lottery. We'll see where we land.
All right, let's do that. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
All right, we have the guard ladder where Nick Smith Jr. climbs up the ladder one time, and then it's KJ Simpson climbs up the ladder the other. It's Nick Smith Jr.'s time. He's up there now. We'll talk about his game. 10 assists for NSJ last night. Awesome stuff. And yes, we have a mock draft to get to. Also, that's still to come. Locked On Hornets podcast. Wanted to tell you real quickly that this episode is brought to you by TurboTax. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting. They were wondering. They were worrying if you were going to get any money back. And then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy, all so you can get the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. And I mean right now, buddy, because you've been procrastinating just like I usually do around this time. So make sure you go to TurboTax and get that situated. More Locked On Hornets ahead. You said it was the best passing game for Nick Smith Jr. It was the best passing game of his career. Yeah, again, 10 assists last night. Maybe that could be countered with some bad turnover numbers. Nope, only 2 turnovers from Nick Smith Jr. Also had a good shooting night, too. That's nice. When you have a good passing day and you have a good shooting day, you just outright have a good day. 28 points for NSJ, 6 of 9 from distance, even got to the foul line. So you said it was the best passing game. Is it just the best game, period, that we've ever seen from Nick Smith Jr.? I think that's on the table from what we saw.
The reason I'd say it's probably not the best game is because I bet I could dig back in and find a worse stat line, but a better just like contextual situation where he was part of a meaningful victory. That's this game meant absolutely nothing. I mean, it was nice for him to rebound because I think he's coming off of a few games where he was struggling from the field. And we've seen Nick Smith Jr. do this a couple times where he'll go through 5-6 games of just like awful apocalyptic stat lines. And then he goes in this one and gets 28, 6, and 10 on 8 of 13. True shooting percentage, amazing. Almost 90%. He was 89.5 because he also put in 6 free throws and finishes with a game score of 28.5. That's probably one of the higher non-LaMelo, non-Miles game scores for the Hornets this season. And it's amazing that he got 10 assists in this game. Let me see what the team assists
that's
were.
right.
23. So that honestly, that's higher than I thought. But there was absolutely no offensive flow because you had Damian Baugh and KJ Simpson, the other ball handlers in this game. They were constantly turning the basketball over. There was no flow. Those 10 assists, I bet most of those were to Nurkic, because I thought like NSJ and Nurkic just like had a handshake agreement. It's me, it's you, it's me. We're going to work together to put some stats up here before the year's over.
No, it's a great point. I thought the same thing. 11 of 35 from 3. So they only shot 31% from 3. So yeah, it's not like Nick Smith Jr. was just getting the easy assist on a drive, kick out, and then bango from distance. That was not happening. Also, only 43% from the field, 44 if you round up. So yeah, it wasn't like, oh, everybody's just hitting shots and they're delivering on these catch and shoot opportunities. It was Nick Smith Jr. making some stuff happen out there. Or if they did make the shots, it was off of an NSJ pass, and then every other shot they missed. Terrible advanced metrics numbers offensively. They were in the 7th percentile in points per possession. It's been 2 games in a row where this offense is just absolutely atrocious, but not because of Nick Smith Jr. So again, the only reason you would say this isn't his best game is because of the context. That matters. This is a tank job like no other. You had that 3-game stretch in February where he was going off and shooting really well. 19 points, 24, 23, 19. And then we'll even throw in the 13-point game against Brooklyn. But what I like about NSJ in this one, just he did everything offensively. Foul line, dishing, not turning it over, hitting from the 3-point line, hitting inside the 3-point line. I think that's what you love to see. If you're trying to gain some momentum, then this game matters to him. Even if it doesn't matter to the team to win, it does matter to him, and he took advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, you have to hope that he puts it all together this summer, and then whether he goes to Summer League or not, puts together something there, and then in the preseason, hopefully he gets another opportunity to play some meaningful minutes for the Hornets, and because you saw what peak NSJ could look like, but it was against a level of competition. You've got to see it against better competition, right? Could you see this level of stat line play? That's the dream for the Hornets when they drafted him with the late first-round pick. Bad game for KJ Simpson coming off that ejection where he got under his buddy. I didn't know they were friends. Jalen Wells, he was tweeting at his friend Jalen Wells some get well wishes, and Wells tweeting back at him. So KJ Simpson, emotional night for him. He comes back 2 of 10 from the field. Both KJ and NSJ are going to have to go to the lab this summer, improve their game, and come back and fight for minutes next season.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of the shooting, a lot of can you make others better consistently? I think both of those have to be improved upon. And then just how do you get by defensively with such a small frame? Nick Smith Jr. is still figuring that out. KJ Simpson is trying. I would say KJ has more of the fight on a consistent basis defensively, where he just fights through guys. I think he is ready for the contact. I guess we could see in this last game he's ready for the contact, but he is ready for the contact in a good way also. Both of these guys, I think you could see them. There's something, man. Like I do appreciate both of them, continuing to fight as the season goes in the crapper, because what you're talking about is Charles Lee going to the podium, speaking with media, and still having some glowing comments about NSJ. Had it last night saying how much he appreciates his hard work and how much he's putting it together. So we'll see how this offseason goes for both of those guys. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Mock draft, and maybe we play a depressing game with the Masters starting today. What's a Hornets tradition unlike any other? Sometimes I'm not supposed to ask the depressing questions as a tease. The tease is supposed to bring you back to the low bar, but I'll still ask that question anyway. We still have some things to get to, LOH. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Basketball, it's obviously winding down. Baseball season, it's in full swing. And there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. You could build your lineup. Maybe this week you go with Aaron Judge. Even if he's not using the torpedo bat, you could still roll with Aaron Judge for maybe more than 1 home run. Plus, it's fast and simple to build your lineup. It takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, it's safe, and it's secure. Plus, there are exclusive promos. You could always take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where Prize Picks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. This episode is also brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Swoosh, save. Swoosh, save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal. The next day, Luka almost did it for everybody last night. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Maybe you could do it with a game day feast after an epic 50-point performance. You could celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, burgers from your favorite spot. It's delivered straight to your door. You could grab lunch on the go if you need a quick and easy lunch the next day. With Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Final segment to go. LOH. Mock draft, baby. We, I guess it's the 14th out of 61. 14th mock draft. So we're dragging. How are you doing, Doug? I want to check in on you after, like, we're approaching the first quarter of mock draft journey that we're on. Are you tired? Do you need water from one of the spectators watching you on mile marker 5? Is it hard to find mock drafts right now? Talk to the people.
No, I think during this first period where, March Madness had been going on, mock drafts were all the rage. It's going to be in the next couple of weeks. Check in with me then. I might be the person that the legs are looking a little wobbly, might need someone to carry me to the finish line. That's going to happen in a couple of weeks when people start to really lock in on the NBA playoffs and forget about the draft. And then right as the playoffs are ending and we get into almost lottery time, that's when things are going to really kick into gear again. So for now, I still have a few, including from Kyle Boone of CBS Sports. But before I get to that, I had to mention that in this game against Toronto, we saw someone special check in for the Toronto Raptors. I'm, of course, talking about 38-year-old Garrett Temple, one of the last 2 remaining Charlotte Bobcats to be in the NBA, the other, my beloved, Bismack Biyombo, who I once saw do the Euro step in Memphis. The only 2 Bobcats remaining, which means we're getting closer to me extinguishing the orange candle that I keep next to my bed that represents a Charlotte Bobcat still being in the NBA. It's not really an eternal flame because it's about to go out, but it is my closest version to it, the orange candle.
I love that you bring up Garrett Temple because also in this game, shout out to Taj Gibson as well for having played his 1,000th game. We should definitely mention Taj Gibson. Very cool to reach 1K. And so if you look at the oldest players in the league, it's LeBron as the oldest at 40. It's just freaking stupid. Like, just it's crazy. LeBron is the oldest player in the league at 40 years old. Taj Gibson is the second oldest player at 39. You have to go down to the 8th spot where Garrett Temple is there at 38. Kyle Lowry, Al Horford, Jeff Green, PJ Tucker, Chris Paul, all older than Garrett Temple. Mike Conley, James Johnson, they round out the top 10. So Old man game last night between Garrett Temple and Taj Gibson. Shout out to Taj for playing his 1,000th NBA contest.
Taj should have played for the Bobcats at some point. I think it's disappointing that he didn't.
I'm sure he's fine having played for the Bulls instead during their heyday. I'm sure that's just fine with Taj Gibson.
All right, let me run the NBA draft simulator real quick. Beep, boop, 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 beep. Oh, I think it's the first time. Maybe the first time I did this, we hit number one.
Yeah.
But we just hit it
This is
again. We did it. Cooper Flagg
Okay.
going to the Charlotte
Number one.
Hornets with the first overall pick. Utah drops to 2. Dallas. How about Dallas jumping up 10 spots to number 3, assuming that Dallas doesn't make it through the play-in? That would be a really significant gain there for Nico Harrison
Yes,
and
it
crew
would.
after the Fire Nico
Nico.
chants raining down. I mean, can you imagine that? Can you imagine if there had been enough Hornets fans going to games for a Fire Mitch chant? That shows you there's a passion in that fan base. You can see it, you can hear it on screen. That it's worse, I think, to not have your name chanted because no one cares. You know what I'm saying? At least people care.
If Dallas or Philly wins, I will go full basketball nihilist. Nothing matters. There are no basketball gods. They do not exist. After Dallas egregiously tanked to get a playoff, to get Derek Lively, which it worked. Mm-hmm. So they got a draft pick to not compete in the play-in, and then it worked when they selected Derek Lively. And Philadelphia, obviously having tanked forever, and then Philly's not as bad because they keep going for it now at least, and everybody just got injured. But you should celebrate Philly, I guess, a little bit for having gone after it.
And they had to, because if they didn't,
Right.
they were going to lose their pick. So they had to. Like there's
Okay,
no
so fair enough.
critique there.
Fair enough. Well, no credit, no criticism. We'll just not talk about Philly. But if Dallas gets it, they don't deserve it. They do not deserve it. And I'm going to go full basketball nihilist.
But also on the Philly thing, how about Brandon Miller's GOAT and Paul George? And so many people with the Clippers, they're not saying his name, but we've heard addition by subtraction from Norm Powell. We've heard some other insinuations from James Harden that like there's a certain level of intensity on that team now that didn't exist in the Paul George era. And then Paul George goes for Philly and gets hurt. And yeah, it's tough.
Okay. Well, partly I'm glad that this lottery simulation worked out for us. One, because we get the number one pick. Day one at getting number one. So the 14th day is when we got it. We should keep track at how many times we get the number one overall pick. So day 14 is the first time. Already not a great pace here in the mock draft journey that we're on. But I also like it because we just have a chance to talk about him a little bit more. Like, I know we've talked about Cooper before, but we've talked about Dylan Harper and then VJ Edgecombe a lot and Ace Bailey a lot. And so we just haven't had a chance to talk about Cooper as much in terms of drafting him number one overall. It would clearly change a lot of what the franchise, what it would mean to them. It would feel like a real hard reset with the practice facility, with Cooper. And then we'll see how that would impact the types of decisions that they made this offseason. But having Cooper here, you would still have a lot of versatility. Now you can keep Brandon at the 2, and then you just have a whole bunch of arms all over the place with LaMelo right now at the 1, Brandon at the 2, Cooper 3, Miles 4, Mark 5. It also allows you to, if you want to move on from somebody, then you have that ability now with Cooper Flagg here. So just the way that he would fit, part of the reason that makes him so great is that he really fits anywhere. There's not a bad fit for Cooper. But here with the Hornets, I think it's a particularly good one where you don't have to put the entire offensive load on his shoulders, but also he would still be very, very involved, and you could pick your spots. You could pick just how much you want him involved and not have to throw him into the fire. He could come along nicely.
I agree with all of that. It's their opportunity to get a solid number one option, something that I think they thought they had in LaMelo Ball, but I think the hopes of that are starting to wane a little bit. It doesn't mean that if they draft Cooper Flagg that you're automatically going to dispense with LaMelo Ball. I think it honestly just allows him to more comfortably play something that I think both his body and his game are telling us that he is, which is a uber facilitator, which is a great, who can also stretch the floor offensively and get you going in transition, which can be a very important part of a team that is threatening to win a playoff series.
Oh, I truly believe with Cooper, as long as everything plays out the way it's supposed to and they don't trade LaMelo, Cooper might resurrect some All-NBA chances for LaMelo. And he just goes down to this role where you are an uber facilitator and you don't have to be the number one scoring option, but you certainly can be that for a lot of nights in the NBA. But you see all these other point guards reach top 15 status. Tyrese Halliburton's going to be a top 15 guy. Darius Garland gets some love for a possible All-NBA spot. Cade Cunningham, right? I mean, I know he's their number one option in Detroit, but the efficiency is down enough to where I feel like LaMelo could reach it if he had enough help. So you're just talking about different point guards that reach this type of status. I do feel like, hey, can you just give him some help? Maybe Cooper Flagg actually resurrects some of those top-end goals or close to the top-end goals that we had with LaMelo outside of most valuable player. I would love to see
So I
that.
mentioned Kyle Boone's for CBS Sports, his mock draft that is updated as of today. It says updated 4/10/25, so it doesn't get fresher than this. And he has Ace Bailey going number 3 overall to the Charlotte Hornets. Is this a 2? This is not a, there's no second round mock. But Ace Bailey at 3. Now, I just listened to Jonathan Wasserman of Bleacher Report run down his big board, not his mock draft, but his big board. In his mock draft, he has the Hornets taking VJ Edgecombe. In his big board, he's got Ace Bailey all the way down at 7. He is really down on Ace Bailey, and his reason, or one of his primary reasons, is that Ace Bailey has an assist percentage under 10%. It's at like 8.8. And in his research, guys don't tend to become number one options when your assist percentage is below 10. So I was curious, what was Brandon Miller's assist percentage at Alabama? It was above 10. It was at 12. So not far above 10. I needed some context on this. So I said, well, what about Cooper Flagg? He's a player that everyone's talking about as the number one option. What is his assist percentage? His assist percentage was 20. It was above 26.
Yeah. They ran their offense through him. He was their facilitator. I think part of the reason they did that, Duke didn't have any hardcore facilitating guard. Like any guard that they had was either 3-and-D and Proctor or combo that were looking to score. And so that's the thing about Cooper, man. If you needed a point guard, he was your guy. Bringing it up the floor, making plays for others, making things happen. He was absolutely your guy. So, yeah, God, man, like LaMelo just being off ball in some of these opportunities to have Cooper or Brandon be your secondary ball handler. But if you don't trust Brandon's ball handling, then maybe you could just defensively have Brandon as your 2 and Cooper as your 3. But offensively, you could run Cooper in the backcourt and then run Brandon at the 3. Like, that top 3 would be excellent and a lot of fun. And I hope it happens, Doug. I really hope it happens. Here's to losing the last couple of games, or at least one more, and ensuring that a 14% chance happens.
I talked about Trey Johnson, how he was my the first recipient of my NBA draft roses, and here he is jumping up to the number 4 spot in Kyle Boone's mock draft, and Adam Finkelstein's, he jumps up to 5. I'm telling you, watch out. Watch out for Trey Johnson. I think Trey Johnson, VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, those are 3 guys that I think are going to be tussling for the 3, 4, 5. I think what's interesting about the Hornets being in the 3 spot is, as much as we talked about Ace Bailey and VJ Edgecombe for a long time in this early draft analysis period, I think 1 and 2 are locked. 3 is still a huge question mark. If the Hornets hang at 3, we're going to have some draft debates on this show.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know if I'm going to debate for Ace or not, but we'll see exactly what.
And I guarantee you, everyone will be satisfied with who I pick.
100%. We've never gone through anything like that before, and I don't plan on doing it now. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast, and that does include YouTube. Go check out everyhornetsboxscore.com. Not only Doug Branson, but David Walker writing for it as well. Listen to Locked On NBA with Matt Moore and Hayes alongside Doug Branson. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.